So this is a little piece from Crap 39. February 12th, 1999, New York City. 30 years old today. My birthday started badly. I woke up at 1:45. The bed was empty where she had been, and somewhere around dawn, my drunk had turned to a hangover in my sleep, and my dreams had gone sour. But I couldn't remember them specifically, only that they were bad, and involved a woman's voice yelling at me and a terrible fire at sea. Then I realized I needed to make an important phone call to explain why I wasn't at home and why I didn't call last night, but I needed to make it before noon, and I couldn't possibly take a shower, brush my teeth, eat some toast, invent an alibi, and find a payphone in 15 minutes. So I pulled on a dirty shirt and dashed out into the impossibly bright morning and located the little metal box on the wall, a payphone, to say where I was, but never be where I was. As I was dialing, I started to play that game that I like where you try to come up with the most ironic way you could die, and I pictured myself swinging from the metal cord of the payphone like a noose. The conversation wasn't a disaster, but she was pretty distant sounding. And then, just as she was getting to the critical part of her interrogation, that mechanical voice chimed in with, "Please deposit 25 cents for the next 3 minutes." And I thought, there is no way I just talked for 3 minutes. But, of course, I didn't have any more quarters, so I said, "Baby, I'm out of quarters. I'll call you back in a while." And she said, "Don't bother." And then the line went dead. I started to panic. So I went into a bodega to get some more quarters, but the guy said, "No change." So I bought a tall boy for $1.25 and got the 3 quarters change and downed the beer in 13 gulps. As I crossed 8th Avenue, I saw a shoe shine stand, and the sign said, "You can't close that deal with a dirty heel." Except heel was spelled H-E-A-L. And suddenly a shoe shine seemed to be just what the doctor ordered to calm my nerves. I said, "How much?" And he said, "Speed shine, 3 minutes, $3. Now, when I was a kid on trips to New York, I used to love it that the cab drivers and the shoe shine guys were so friendly and chatty. But now I'm 30. And I prefer quiet rides and quiet shines. When did that change? Why? Actually, come to think of it, it's not just me. The whole city changed. The whole city sank into a solitary bad mood, and cab drivers never chat with you anymore. But this shoe shine guy was chatty in the sweetest way. He told me about his 3 daughters and how it's hard, but a man's got to do what a man's got to do, and how he loves his job. The people he meets, what's the point if you don't? And the whole while, I was watching the neon sign for the peep show blinking across 8th Avenue. And then somehow the conversation turned to me, and he asked, did I have kids? And I said, no. And he said, well, you better get busy then, young man. And I said, I wasn't sure I was up for the inner spiritual revolution that would entail. And he laughed and asked me what did I do, which I always hate because I don't know why, but I'm embarrassed to say that I'm an actor. So I said I was a writer, as if that's better. So we talked about my writing project, that it was called Farewell to Love, and that I was making progress and had gotten a couple of hours writing in this week. And he laughed and said, 2 hours a week ain't a job, it's a chore. And then with a flap of his cloth, the 3 minutes was up. But the shoe shine really only alleviated my dread for a few minutes, so I stumbled across 8th Avenue and into the neon blinking peep show, feeling paranoid and dirty, but doing it anyway. I walked into the booth with the girl who knew me a little bit. It was a Tuesday, and I slid my $5 bill into the 3-minute slot. The mechanical shade clicked and whirred as it went up, revealing her feet to knees to hair to head, framed in the rectangular window. I picked up the little white phone on the side of the booth and pictured myself swinging by the neck from its cord. She picked up her end and started to take off her clothes. I said, no, don't, I just want to talk. She said, what do you want to talk about? And I was thinking about what that woman I had been with last night had meant when she had said, I don't believe in unconditional love for a man. Who has time? I want to know what I'm getting. So I asked the girl behind the glass, did she believe in unconditional love? And she laughed and told me I was weird. So I said, no, really. And she paused and said, I don't know, I guess so. Doesn't everybody? And then there was an awkward silence. So she said, how's the writing project coming? And I said, well, it's more of a chore than a job. And then I just stared at her. And I started thinking about that play I had seen in Jason's theater last year on my birthday, Crap's Last Tape, and how do you become an old man and alone and a drunk, and how in the play, Crap was a failed writer, and his only human contact was a weekly perfunctory visit from a prostitute. And thinking that made me feel better, like what I was doing now was research, dramaturgy. And finally, she said, "Window's gonna come down, don't you want a show?" So I snapped to and did what you do in the dark in that place as the window shade slid down, erasing her head to hair, to knees, to feet. And as the light came on in my half of the booth, I thought about Crap and that old line, you don't pay a prostitute to stay, you pay him to leave. Now, I had that desultory feeling you get when you realize you've just killed another day and it's barely begun, and I wanted a fresh start, so I just kept walking downtown, not quite knowing what I should do. Should I call my girlfriend back, come up with a new set of lies? No. I should get on a bus and disappear to Utah and work in a gas station. Yeah, work in a gas station. God, I hate myself. But I just kept walking downtown because at least there's good bookstores there while I make up my mind. And since I wanted to feel clean, when I passed that Catholic church on 10th Street, I didn't even think, but I went right in, and I'm not even a Catholic. But Beckett wasn't he? Wasn't he? Wait, was he? Anyway, for the first time in my life, I walked into a confessional booth and clicked the door closed behind me and laid my face against the rattan screen and whispered those words I had seen in so many movies. "Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. It has been 30 years since my last confession." Then I confessed a few things, and it felt great, actually. I confessed that I felt terrible for being a no-good lying cad. I confessed to lust run amok, and I confessed that I was consumed with envy of my friends and sometimes thought ill of them. I confessed that I was prideful and selfish and narcissistic and that I hadn't called my mother in 2.5 weeks. I even brought it up to the minute and confessed that I was drunk. Well, not drunk, really, but a little buzzed, and that I'm not even Catholic, and don't be mad at me, Father, but I suspected that deep down inside, I might even be a Buddhist. I went on and on like this for about 3 minutes, and then a sneaking suspicion silenced me in my tracks. Was there anybody even in there? I peered through the rattan into the dark cubicle. Empty. Sure enough. The father went to lunch, I thought, and I left the church. You could buy a candle at the exit, so I did, dropping $1 into the copper box. Now suddenly it's night, and I'm in a bed writing in my journal, thinking about threes and my project and 3 acts and morning, noon, and night, and how you should structure things in 3s, not 2s or 4s. Like how if you say a line 3 times, it's funny or spooky or what you want it to be, but if you only say it twice, it just seems random. And I thought about how my every single human encounter of this day had lasted exactly 3 minutes, and how I had paid for each 3-minute exchange, a quarter, $3, $5, a candle. I thought about time, and children, and love, and work, and that play. And how you have 39 years to try to do something, 49 years to fail, 59 years to love someone if you're lucky, and 69 years to die. Thanks.